Hi, I'm Alicia from Green Light Healing, and my talk today is kind of an extended introduction into what I do and how it can help you. I'm an energy healer and tarot reader, and I have a background in holistic health. I what I do is I help people who feel stuck or in some kind of discomfort, or they may just feel like something's just not quite right. And that can look like many different things, and I'll give some examples later. So I help people who feel stuck or uncomfortable, and the way I help is I try to find the emotional or energetic residues that are lying underneath the issue that the client is coming to me with. And so I find it, and then we release it with energy healing. The result is that the client feels much better. So there's an increased sense of well-being, and usually it also means that there's an enhanced capacity to deal with the kind of daily life or bigger situations as well. Um, my main modality is kinesiology. I'm also Reiki attuned. And with the tarot reading, I sometimes combine that with healing, but I also do tarot readings separately, but I won't talk really about that today. I work exclusively with distance healing, so I do remote sessions. And yeah, I mainly do kinesiology, so I wanted to talk to you a little bit more about what kinesiology is. There's a fair bit of jargon and things like that. So when I use jargon, I'll try to explain it, because if you have a session with me, I may use some of the same words, but also sometimes jargon can be a little bit fuzzy. So, at its core, kinesiology is a stress management technique. That's the phrase that the founder of one of the styles of kinesiology I practice, that's what he likes to say. It's a stress management technique. And but stress in kinesiology has a very specific meaning, meaning it's something that is affecting your system negatively. So, for example, it's disrupting your homeostasis. And in many other modalities, you'll hear people say it's an energy block. And so that is kind of vague, but at the same time, there could be many different types of energy blocks. So that's a nice sort of heading for the type of imbalance that it is. Regular and other forms of complementary healing that are science-based. There's the concept of stress is that it's not always bad, but in kinesiology we use that word in a way that means that it's negatively impacting your system. Just as a slight tangent, sometimes stress can make us perform better. Like if you think about working to a deadline, so a small amount of stress your body can still cope with, and that can improve your performance. But just to be clear, in the kinesiology context, when we say the word stress, we mean something negative. All right, let me check my notes. So, so kinesiology is a stress management system. The main technique in kinesiology is muscle testing, or the correct phrase would be manual muscle monitoring. And you use that technique and you apply it to data sets, information that can be scientific, medical, psychological, esoteric. It's actually, you're using the technique, the muscle monitoring technique, and you're applying it to other data sets to find the relevant information for the client. So I know this sounds very technical, and I know that can be a little bit off-putting, but it's just sometimes people do really want to know, well, kind of how does it work? The more detailed, like people trying to elucidate what we know and what we can prove so far with science, then this is a great book. I'm not saying you need to get it, but Charles Krebs and Tanya McGowan are very famous practitioners and teachers in kinesiology. There are lots of different branches and subtypes of kinesiology. So broadly speaking, we're talking about the energetic, energy healing types of kinesiology. That is what the authors look like. Charles Krebs has got some interesting stories if you want to look him up. I should actually also say that the name kinesiology is a bit confusing for some people, and through no fault of their own, I feel like energy kinesiology should really have a different name. Kinesiology, coming from the root word meaning movement, right? But exercise kinesiology is also a very well-known field of study, and that would be something that you could study at a university. And this type of kinesiology, it's not the same thing. This is energy healing, and the other stuff is like the science of human movement, whether it's kind of physiology, physiotherapy type things, or advanced personal training kind of things. All right. So I'm not a physiotherapist. I'm not a massage therapist. Kinesiology is not exactly Reiki, but some types use Reiki energy, and I'm Reiki attuned anyway. So if that clarifies something, great. If it doesn't, please don't worry about it. Let me just check my notes. So stress management system, muscle testing data set. Okay, what is muscle testing or manual muscle monitoring? If you have a look at other resources, or if you've ever seen or heard a little bit about kinesiology, even if it was by other names, you may see, the client maybe holding their arm out here or to the front, and the practitioner will be, touching either their upper arm, or if their elbow's resting on a table or a bed, the practitioner may be pressing on the wrist, and they'll be muscle testing one of the forearm muscles. So what is the test? We're actually looking at subtle changes in the muscle tone. So that what we're really looking at is whatever we're talking about, discussing, investigating, just because we're an integrated system that's multifaceted. I will explain that in a minute. For example, if we're recalling a stressful memory, like an emotionally traumatic time, and someone is monitoring your muscle may respond in different ways that indicate, or actually just thinking about this is placing a stress on the neurological functioning of your muscle. So we're looking to see, what is the baseline muscle tone? Is your muscle very rigid? Is it normal? Can it relax when we want it to relax? Can it tense up when we want it to tense up? That kind of thing. So that's what the practitioner is doing. Now, I know I said I work exclusively doing distance healing. Obviously, when I trained, I was working one-to-one with people in the same room. The client is usually on a massage table. Sometimes the client would be standing or sitting, and you can test other muscles that way. But thank you to the coronavirus pandemic, and also the fact that I learned distance healing with Reiki, I really realized I need to help people, and I was practicing a lot on friends and myself to test it out during that time, and it did help. It works exactly the same, although I fully understand why people might be skeptical at first, and I certainly was when I heard about the concept of distance healing. But the fact is, energy is kind of infinite, so I can connect to someone's energy when they've given me permission, and then I end up actually performing the session on myself. My body acts as a surrogate for the person, not my client. If that's just a bit too much of a far reach for you, that's okay. You don't have to do kinesiology or try a session if you don't want to. Yeah, that's basically it. I'm not here to try and convert people, but if people are curious, I'd like to explain what I can. I'm also quite results orientated. So, the earlier version of me, I would want to know how or why something works, but the fact is, direct experience has shown me that it works. And so kind of, I actually just want to get the results for my clients, and I'm less concerned with proving whether meridians are real or not. So I hope that explains my perspective. Also, the reason why we use muscles to test in kinesiology is that your muscles are under conscious control of your brain, and they're also under subconscious control. So your other parts of your brain are controlling your muscles the entire time. You don't have to think about sitting upright. And so for that reason, it can be a window into your subconscious. But either way, you know, in the last century, it was actually physiotherapists who developed this technique of manual muscle monitoring. And then as you know, Eastern knowledge made it over to the West, then people like chiropractors and osteopaths built on this technique, or rather they started using it to integrate their existing knowledge of Western anatomy and physiology with, you know, this kind of woo-woo or ancient knowledge from other parts of the world, other cultures, where things like meridians and energy and emotions related to a chakra, all those things are part of the knowledge set there. So, I mean, the point is we just want to enhance people's healing, and that's the thing. It's a holistic method. So what does holistic mean? Holistic means encompassing the whole, and, you know, a summary way of thinking of that would be you need to consider physical, emotional, mental, spiritual, and energetic aspects of someone's being. And, you know, just one example I can give is that, you know, when I was practicing with a classmate of mine, I hurt my back and we wanted to see if we could work on the pain. And I knew, okay, well, I overdid it in a yoga class. It wasn't my normal type, la, 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 la. And so I thought it would be quite straightforward and easy. But my classmate did actually find an emotional aspect to the pain. And I was surprised. I mean, it's not that I didn't believe it, because it made sense. She found something that really had happened, and those kinds of things. But, you know, just in our daily lives, we can forget that actually our experiences are made up of all these different layers, not just the stuff we know and can logically remember and think about or see or touch. Okay, so yeah, we try to get holistic healing for our clients, and that is often, you know, deeper and longer lasting. I'm not pretending to be a doctor, but you know, I just want to get my clients feeling better. All right, let's check my notes. Oh yeah, okay. In terms of the holistic healing thing, I like to look at somebody's health. Like there's an analogy I often use, which is that of a boat on a body of water. And if you think about the boat, you can put loads on the boat. If you put too many loads on, you know, if it's distributed in a funny way, like the boat is going to suffer. It's not going to perform as well as it could, and it may even sink. And it's not rocket science. How would you get the boat functioning better? You would remove some of the loads. And that's kind of what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to find the invisible things. And it's often, but not always, it would be emotions, energies, you know, imbalances in chakras or meridians. But it could be simple things like you're not drinking enough water, you're not getting enough rest, there's something that you're eating that's not agreeing with your body. And all of those things can combine to kind of overload your system. So you'd either be taking off one big load, or maybe multiple medium loads, or lots of small loads, until the person's system can cope. And so I'm not the one really healing the person. I find the block, I release the block with very easy techniques, like it's kind of like acupoints or sending Reiki energy and things like that. And then the client's body can cope and work the way it's supposed to do. With, you know, I'm kind of greasing the wheels and not putting like dirt in the engine. Okay, if I can mix my metaphors. So that's just a valuable way of looking at health, because it, you know, it just provides the other perspective, a more holistic perspective on how our body-mind systems work. I think all I need to do now is give you a few examples of how it can help you. Basically, whatever's bothering you, I've never had a case where there was nothing I could do for somebody. You also don't really have to believe in it for it to work. But I do a lot of things for people with, for example, insomnia, you know, achy joints or muscles, fatigue, where their energy either, you know, is low for some known or unknown reason. So low energy, including things like chronic fatigue or adrenal stress. Things like anxiety, whether the cause is known or unknown. So it can sometimes be, you know, phobia related, or, you know, people can say, oh, I just feel angry all the time and I don't know why. And I can try and figure out ways to, you know, energetically open that release valve. Also things like affirmations and working on the belief system of the subconscious. So that can be something that does block people in many aspects of their lives, whether, you know, it's their career or spiritual path. We take on these things and we think we are kind of okay with it on a conscious level, but if I look, you know, your body might, or your body mind might give me a different answer when I really ask with kinesiology. And then even simple things like meridian and chakra imbalances, I do that a lot. I do a lot of advanced grounding, protection. If people have picked up energies from, you know, the environment they're in, I help to release those. So that can explain things like a mood that you don't know why you have, but it's kind of sticking on you. Also things like cord cutting, you know, when someone, you know, feels unduly affected by another person that they're in a relationship with or they used to be in a relationship with. Those kinds of things kinesiology can really help with. But also if you're thinking like, I feel like something that I'm eating is affecting my digestion, what might it be? I can look at that for you as well. So it can help on physical, emotional, mental, spiritual, and energetic levels. If you've got a question, please drop me a line via my website, which is www.greenlighthealing.net. I'm also on Facebook. I'm trying to make that a bit more active, so bear with me. But other than that, I think that's all for today's talk. And in the next video I'd like to talk a bit more about me. So just to give you a bit more of an expanded introduction to why I became a kinesiologist and kind of how I work. All right, so thank you very much for viewing. Bye.